and welcome to the Suffolk Scoutcast. I'm Sharmila, and this is my co-host, Jason.
Howdy, everybody. We're very excited. This is our first podcast episode, one of many. Looking forward to interviewing several people throughout Suffolk County and Nassau County about scouting and sharing the positive news about scouting and talking about diversity in scouting. One of the things we wanted to talk about with some of our interviewees was discuss with board members, men, women, parents, Eagle Scouts, kids, business people, basically anybody who had a positive light on scouting in the past 100 plus years, I should say, to kind of share the good word of scouting. So looking forward to one of many episodes of this podcast.
Thanks, Jason. That's one of the main reasons why I'm here today as a co-host as well, is to really understand what is scouting all about. My son is a scout, and as a parent, it provides an opportunity for my kid to get into the outdoors, understand and learn how to be safe in the outdoors. He loves going camping every month. He hangs out with his friends, and they create a really great community together. And one thing that I think is really important is understanding what other programs are available to scouts. Is it just the boys? Is it just the girls? There's a lot of conversations about what is scouting. Is it just Boy Scouts of America? But this podcast is really about talking about those things and understanding that scouting is for everyone. It's for if you're a boy, if you're a girl, any race, any color, any ethnicity, you can join scouting. And can you talk to us about some of the programs that scouting has to offer?
Sure. So we have a multitude of programs, and actually one of the misconceptions that people think is that girls are only been allowed in scouting since 2019, when in fact we've had women in scouting since the late 60s with one of our old exploring programs, which was sort of a career-oriented program. So we're excited that now girls are welcomed in the Cub Scout age program, which is youth kindergarten through 5th grade. We have also our Scouts BSA, which used to be called traditionally Boy Scouts. That is for both boys and girls, ages 11 to 18, and we also have our venturing program, which goes up to the age of 21, which is a co-ed program. So there's a multitude of options for all of our kids, and like Sharmila, like you were saying, it gets kids in the outdoors, it gets kids active, it gets them to interact with other kids their age, it gets them to interact and speak with adults. That's sort of how I was always a shy kid when I was, first, second grade, and being involved in scouting helped me break out of that shell. And it's been a tremendous experience. As an Eagle Scout myself, I value that almost higher than my college education. So there's a multitude of different programs that we can offer for kids, and it's just really exciting time for scouting.
No, that's great to hear. My son really enjoys our meetings are on Monday. It's a great 2 hours. There's about 15 to 20 kids. His best friend is in scouting, so it really creates great memories for them. It also gets them off the screen. That's something that's been really challenging for my household. As a mom who's single, getting him off the screen can be really difficult. But I know on Mondays, for at least 2.5 hours, he's not going to be on that screen. He's going to be learning some skills. I know he talks about what he has to do during those meetings, and now he can stand up in front of his peers and give a presentation. And as a 13-year-old going through all the things that he's going through with a mom who's single, it's really fascinating to see how much he's grown because of scouting. And he's only been in scouting for about 2 years. He went to the summer program up in Rhode Island. It was his first time being away from me on a sleepover for a week. And he pulled through, he pushed through. And I think that's what is so meaningful for me and my son being in Boy Scouts, is he gets to learn who he is. He gets to be with kids his age as well as find mentors. And I think that's a really great part of scouting, is having the older kids mentor the younger kids, having a scout master and a team of adults that really have gone through the program and the training and the safety education to ensure that our kids in a really safe environment, that at the age of 11 he can go to Rhode Island, a state that I've never been in, and have a sleepaway camp and learn how to buy something at the store and learn how to take care of his belongings in the tent with other boys. It was a really great experience for him, and I'm looking forward to putting him back in this summer.
Yeah, and I think part of scouting is outing and trying to get kids in the outdoors, like we said. And Suffolk County Council has an amazing scout camp out in Bating Hollow, and we run a year-round program, which for all ages of kids, and winter camping, summer camp, day camp, rock climbing walls, swimming in the lake, canoeing, kayaking. I mean, there's a multitude of things that you can do at our camp, and pretty much almost every camp that is run by a Boy Scout council. So coming up in our next segment, we'll be talking with David Hunt, our council president of the Suffolk County Council. Until then, please take a look at our great promo video about Bating Hollow Scout Camp.
Hey, Mom and Dad, summer has just started, and it's not too late to give your child the greatest adventure of a lifetime. They'll get to jump in a lake, row a boat, build a birdhouse, archery, make new friends, but most importantly, they'll create lasting memories. And the best is, it's happening right here on Long Island at the Boy Scouts of America Bating Hollow Summer Camp. Go to sccbsa.org today.
Welcome back to the Suffolk Scoutcast podcast.
And we are here with David Hunt, who is the Suffolk County Council president. David is an Eagle Scout. He's been involved in scouting for, I believe, 50 years or so. And David is actually also a Eagle coach, and he coaches different Eagle Scouts to work on their projects and merit badges to help them attain the rank of Eagle. So, David, we're really excited to have you
And
today.
I'm really happy to be here. You know how excited I get about scouting.
Yes, sir.
So David, one of our questions that we have for you today is to really understand is what does the director or the executive principals of scouting really do?
Well, I'm the council president, and that's president of a board. We have a board of 40 volunteers, and I'm a volunteer as well. Not a lot of people realize we have a program for 7,000 kids today, and we have 3,000 adult volunteers and just 13 employees. So we make our program go with adult volunteers, and I'm one of them. I've been involved in a volunteer capacity with the Suffolk County Council for the last 15 years, and joined the board in 2014. And was vice president of properties for 5 years, then executive VP, and then I was voluntold to be council president.
Well, I appreciate you being council president. I think the program is such an amazing program in Long Island. My son, as you know, is a scout. He's been in the program for 2 years, and one of the questions that I think a lot of young kids as well as parents might want to know is, what are your goals for Suffolk County in 2023?
Well, one of the jobs of the council president is to address the three major issues. And the three major issues have always been membership, manpower, and money. So, we need funds to make our program go. We have a budget of approximately $2.7 million, which we raise every year. And that's supplemented with scout fees and so forth. Membership is really key right now. We and every other Scout Council lost membership during the pandemic. Scouts BSA more or less did okay because they were able to handle their virtual troop meetings and virtual campouts and virtual courts of honor online. Cubs less so. That's a program for our younger scouts, and very activity oriented, and really impossible to have a Pinewood Derby virtually. Although I think we pulled several of them off.
Oh yeah.
We? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It works. I think one of the things that people might be interested in now is that there's a lot more girls and female scouts that are getting involved. We actually had a few female Eagle Scouts that.
Not a few, 11. We have 11 female Eagle Scouts. Girls were invited to join Scouts in 2017, and it's really remarkable that we have 11 Eagle Scouts, because the typical journey from the start of a Scouts BSA, let's call it career, to Eagle Scout is typically a process of 4 to 5 years. So that the fact that we have 11 of them now in this short a period of time is really a testament to these young ladies. and they are something else, I will tell you.
And that's one of the things I think that the council is trying to tap into, is to recruit more girls into the program, because the way girls and boys grow is significantly different, especially in the adolescent age. So you want to talk a little bit more about how they're it's a bad way of saying it, but how they're separated and segregated in girls and boys in the program?
I have to say I was a huge fan of bringing girls into the program. I just felt that our program is such a good program for children of all ages and both sexes. So in Cub Packs, this is the program from kindergarten to 5th grade. A pack, and that's a group of scouts, can decide whether they want to be a boy pack or a girl pack, or what we call a family pack. And a family pack would have both sexes in the pack. And then within the dens, there typically would be boy dens or girl dens. In Scouts BSA, and I agree with the National BSA on their decision on this, boys and girls are in separate troops. So as girls came into the program, we needed to establish girl troops, and we have some very strong ones now. And that program runs from the 5th grade up until 18 years of age.
That's excellent. I think one of the things we're going to be doing in future episodes is to interview some of these female Eagle Scouts and hear their story and their journey and their adventures and whatever have you, because we've only spoken with boy Eagle Scouts my entire life. So it's going to be fun to hear a different perspective on it, and how much they're enjoying the program. And I think the girls were chomping at the bit once they had the opportunity to join Scouting, and it's been an amazing influx of females joining Scouting and becoming Eagle Scouts. It's just been tremendous for the program.
Just several days ago, I conducted an Eagle Board of Review for a female Eagle Scout, and I was just blown away. When I was her age, I hadn't done 25% of what she's accomplished, at 17 years of age.
It's amazing.
So it really is an amazing program.
So this might be a kind of a question, and I know we didn't really kind of plan for it, but the question that comes to my head in just talking about an Eagle Scout is, what's the importance of becoming an Eagle Scout? Like, what has that done for you in your career, in your professional and personal life, and going that route of being an Eagle Scout?
Well, I have to say that becoming an Eagle Scout and having the role of senior patrol leader, which is the highest boy position in a scout troop, and I say boy, but of course today it's boys or girls, had a tremendous effect on my career. So just going to college, having that experience of leading others, being responsible for 30 to 40 people, having a program every week, having people report to me, assistant senior patrol leaders and patrol leaders, was an astounding experience. So I took that, the experience itself, but more importantly the confidence that I had into college, and I was very active in activities and was the first to volunteer. And with the degree I took, I had a lot of case studies, and I was thrown together with 7 or 8 people I didn't know, when we were responsible for coming up with a report in a month. And I would just sit down and say, okay, let's divide up the tasks, let's figure out what we have to do, let's talk about a deadline. And everybody else is around the table going, okay, right? But these are all the things that I learned in Scouting. So, you had mentioned the confidence in your son in the opening of this podcast, which I loved. There are a lot of skills that Scouts learn that really aren't part of the program. So, for example, if a Scout is learning how to build a fire in the winter, right? Okay, he's learning how to build a fire, but he's also learning patience, right? I like to tell the story of my scariest moment in Scouts when I was 12 years old. And it wasn't life-saving or swimming or any of the things that you might think it was. The most difficult thing and the scariest thing I ever did in Scouting was, at 12 years old, calling an adult I didn't know and asking him to be my merit badge counselor. I would sit by the phone for 5 minutes trying to gather up the courage to pick up that phone and make the call. And of course, that first one was very difficult, but there was a friendly adult on the other side who said, yes, let's meet. And then the second call wasn't so bad. It was only 3 minutes sitting by the phone. And you know, within a year, I could converse with adults easily. Now, where do you learn that? In scouting.
I mean, I have similar stories with that, and you know, it's just, you have that confidence to learn to speak to adults as a 12-year-old boy, and it's something that you don't necessarily learn in school. And also being involved in scouting, I wasn't necessarily with the same kids that I went to high school with. It was a completely different group of people, so you learn and adapt to different personalities that you weren't always accustomed to your entire life. And it's, you know, I agree with a lot of your statements there. It's just, you know, scouting's been a tremendous part of our lives, clearly, and hopefully your son's life. It's just, you know, it makes that, molds him into a young man, and in this way, in some cases, young woman now. So it's been, it's great. Really great.
You know, another skill that isn't on the boxes to check off to earn a rank is just teamwork.
Right.
Just learning to work with other people to accomplish a goal together.
So what are some other things that we can have, or some other ways that people can learn how to join scouting, to donate to scouting, events that we have coming up, to volunteer,
Well,
the whole package?
I think you know the answer to that question, and that is, that's our website, sccbsa.org. Our programs are there, how to join, how to contribute to the council. Anything you might want to know about our program and what's going on is on that website.
Excellent. We do have a couple of fundraisers that are coming up in the next few months. One is a wild game dinner, which is a real blast if you've never been to it. We have an executive chef that cooks bear and deer and pheasant and a whole bunch of things. It's adults only because there are some alcoholic beverages, but check out our website. That is taking place in the end of February at the Bayshore Knights of Columbus. We have our Suffolk County Council Camporee coming up in the end of April 28th to the 30th at South Haven Park. We also have our Ladies Brunch coming up in April as well, and that is taking place at Captain Bill's in Bayshore. So please check out our website for those 3 events coming up. A lot of fun, a lot of opportunity for kids, especially for the Camporee coming up in April. I urge anybody, scouting or non-scouting, come check us out, come join us. We expect to have 3,000 plus kids there. Really exciting time for scouting in Suffolk County, I think. So.
I have a couple of items to add.
Shoot.
For our council camporee this year, we're going to have Be a Scout for a Day. And any of our scouts can invite a friend to attend the camporee. There will be a day fee, and this would be Saturday. And that friend can participate in all the activities. And there will be a membership tent for that scout and his or her parent to learn more about scouting and decide if it's for them. And the scout that does the inviting, if his friend joins, he gets to earn a recruiting patch.
That's excellent. So, David, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you jumping on the first episode of our podcast. We are excited for many more of these to come. And again, thank you for coming.
I have one more event.
Shoot, go for it.
We have winter camp at Bating Hollow Scout Camp this year. Hasn't been there for a couple of years because of the pandemic. I love winter camp. Starts February 20th, it's President's Week, runs from Monday to Friday. We have a day camp program for the cub age kids, and it's sleepaway camp for our Scouts BSA. And this is one way to make sure that the kids have something to do during that break, and you're getting them off the screen for a whole week.
I'm going to have to add one more because we just keep going back with things that are coming up. So we also have the Andrew McMorris Top Gun Run in memory of Andrew McMorris, who actually tragically got hit by a car back in 2018. So we're doing a fundraiser for him along with the Andrew McMorris Foundation. That is taking place on Saturday, March 25th, if I'm not mistaken. Information on the website will be there as well. Hopefully you guys can join us for that time as well. I'll be running, so hopefully I can make it through.
Ask me about diversity.
Diversity. Well, Diversity and inclusion is really important for me. And when I was looking at programs for my son, I wanted to make sure that he was engaged in a community environment that understands diversity and inclusion. Being first generation born Indian, my parents are immigrants here, and now it's a different world because now my son is second generation. And it's interesting to see how diversity and inclusion in the past few years have really come to the forefront. So can you tell us a little bit more about what your thoughts are with scouting and diversity?
I'm so glad you asked me that question. So a year ago, I put a stake in the ground with the board and said, my vision for this council is that within 5 years, the diversity of our board, of our leadership, and of our kids is going to be a direct mirror of diversity of Suffolk County as a whole. So I actually had to go look at population charts to have an understanding of how diverse we are. And we are an extremely diverse county. But I didn't have to go to a population chart to understand that half the people in Suffolk County are female and half of them are male. And that's where we need to be as a council. But we also need to include everything. And so a year ago, more than a year ago, we established an outreach committee. And that outreach committee looks like the United Nations, I am proud to say. We've got Asian, we've got Sikh, we have African American, we have Hispanic, on that outreach committee. They have done the yeoman's job of starting the process of getting the word out that scouting is for all kids. We also have LGBTQ representation and special needs representation on that committee. So, and now we have a nominating committee which is putting our board together for 2023, and that nominating committee is also on purpose very diverse so that we can start to bring more female participation on our board, as well as LGBTQ and all the other ethnicities.
No, thank you so much for explaining that. I think it's really important to also understand that there is a special needs program and there is an LGBTQ program, so no child is left out. And I think one thing that you mentioned in the beginning is scouting is run by a lot of volunteers. So if you're a parent and you have a child that might be interested or you're curious about it, I think it's really important that you connect with us on the website, message us on the podcast and let us know if you have any questions, because you can provide that leadership for children in your community to get out there and really enjoy and understand, what scouting is all about and all of the different options that are there. I know I informed my son and my daughter about the STEM program that scouting also has, or STEAM, I should say, program. So I think it's really important that you showcased what the goals are and really looking at the population of Suffolk County. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
As I think it's so important to communicate this information out to parents as well as your children. And if you're interested in participating, volunteering, coming to any of the events that have been mentioned, please do let us know and we can help you and guide you along.
So David, thank you so much for coming on our first episode of the Suffolk Scoutcast podcast. Say that 7 times fast.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. We look forward to our next episode, which will be interviewing the McMorris family to discuss more about the Andrews Top Gun run in March, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.